970 Israeli Air Force members published a letter to the government on Thursday that could get them fired. In it, they criticized Israel's war on Gaza as serving Prime Minister Netanyahu's political and personal interests rather than Israel's security interests, saying its continuation would only cause the deaths of more captives, soldiers, and civilians in Gaza. Even after Israel's government said it would expel those who signed the letter from the military, only 25 out of the nearly 1,000 members removed their signatures. They are not alone. Last month, senior officials warned of a 30 to 50% fall in the rate of reservists reporting for duty after thousands more were called up to serve once Israel restarted its war on Gaza in March. They reflect a growing proportion of Israelis angry that the government broke the captive deal after phase 1 ended. Now, as the war reaches the 18-month mark, Israelis are increasingly tired of fighting and suspicious of the government's motives. Security officials told The Economist that they aim to permanently empty Rafah, which makes up 20% of Gaza, as part of a wider plan to force 2 million people out of cities and towns and towards the coast, from where Israel hopes they will voluntarily emigrate elsewhere. The areas emptied will be kill zones, where everyone remaining will be treated as Hamas fighters. But many Israelis don't see how this will return the 59 remaining captives, eliminate Hamas for good, or realistically manage the future of Gaza's 2 million Palestinians to prevent another attack. Adding to their doubts, Israeli security sources said on Wednesday that around 75% of Hamas's tunnels in Gaza remain intact. Many also worry that Netanyahu is motivated by his own political and legal battles with Israel's justice system. So far, he had consolidated power by replacing the military chief of staff and defense minister with loyal figures, increasing control over judicial appointments, and moving to replace Israel's intelligence chief and the attorney general. By doing this, he hoped to avoid investigations into his leadership, including demands for a state commission of inquiry into responsibility for the 7th of October security failures, an ongoing trial into 3 different corruption cases, and a recent probe into links between Qatar and the Prime Minister's office. He also aimed to stop Israel's legal institutions from blocking actions that he took to please his government coalition, such as exempting the ultra-Orthodox community, which makes up 14% of Israel's population, from the military draft, in direct violation of court orders. His efforts to exempt them from service while maintaining their financial privileges have angered Israelis, who argue the burdens of war should be shared more equally across the population. But it still looked like Netanyahu was succeeding until Tuesday, when Israel's High Court froze his attempt to fire the intelligence chief Ronen Bar, an unprecedented move in Israel's history that triggered huge protests in response. Despite the national unity after the 7th of October, Israeli society is now fracturing along the same lines as before the war. Netanyahu's attempts to weaken Israel's legal branch through his judicial overhaul plan of 2023 caused mass protests and threats to resign by reservists, which carries a huge stigma given its national culture of military service. Now, Israelis are once again protesting and failing to report for duty because they doubt once more whether the government is serving the national interest. Most of these protests are focused on the return of captives and protecting the rule of law. But as they fear the costs of war haven't been shared equally or increased national security, that upset can spread, and it wouldn't be the first time. In 1982, 3,000 reservists signed a petition refusing to serve in Israel's war in Lebanon. As the war continued and soldiers died with no end goal in sight, pressure only grew. In 2001, an estimated 2,500 reservists refused to serve in the occupied West Bank following the outbreak of the Second Intifada. Now, as then, Israelis are increasingly disagreeing on the methods and the goals of wars previously seen as existential, but now seen as political. But where these protests lead and whether they can gain momentum remains to be seen.